What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains. Heavy on the education, but you stay for the entertainment. I'm here with my guys, Jake Galley, Kyle Sirak. Stab Matt Robinson is not with us, but he's always with us in spirit. And he picked a good show not to come on.
How convenient.
Because I'm sitting here with a bunch of Sixers fans who were confident about, like, one of y'all in particular. We know who I'm talking about. Uber confidence, right? Nothing but confidence. Y'all saw it on social media, and it didn't go as planned. But we will get to that in an absolute second. Like I said, my guys Jake Galley and Kyle Sirak hit with me. How you guys doing, man? How you doing with it?
I've been better. I tell you that. I mean, at this point, we're a good chunk removed, but there isn't much that stuns me. There isn't much that can kind of take the wind out of you when you are a Sixers fan and you've dealt with what you've dealt with. Game 6, Game 7. I mean, really, since Game 4.
No, they had to open a fresh wound.
It was a fresh wound. It was a gut punch. It was things aren't different. They are who we thought they were type moment.
Not Dennis Allen. You didn't Dennis Allen yourself.
Oh, Ben.
You Dennis
my
Allen
God.
yourself.
Oh, Ben Simmons is to a T exactly who we thought he was. All the entire time. I've been right about Ben since I said we should trade him last year, and I didn't think it would get in the way. He got in the way this year. Obviously.
He got in the way. Kyle, what happened?
Hey.
Man? What happened, man?
Well, first of all, I'm good. Just to start off the pod, I'm good. I had a good week outside of what we're talking about, but Sixers-wise, man, I don't know. I mean, we're the better team. What did I say last week? That we're outplaying ourselves, that the Hawks weren't beating us, and that was our downfall. But I'm not going to lie. I've recovered a little bit. I'm still going to be sad. I'm still going to be, not as into the NBA playoffs as I would have been if my team was there, but I'm trying to put it behind me. Y'all
Suns fans now. Y'all looking at your future point guard now. Come on, man.
That thought ran. It's funny you say that. The thought ran through my mind in the aftermath of Game 7. Who can we get in here? And
who do y'all need?
I would love Chris Paul on this Sixers team, man.
I'm still thinking Dame and Brad Beal, but
that's not.
I mean, a score.
If those don't work, and if those don't work, I can see Chris Paul.
I do think the pecking order for y'all should be Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Chris Paul. Chris Paul comes with a 2-year, $60 million at least brand new contract.
Yeah, I don't like
that's not
he deserves the situation,
but
he deserves the money but for my team, I don't want to pay him that money.
The situation that y'all are in, I mean, even if you get rid of Ben, you still got 2 players who are getting $30 million next year. Your salary cap ain't crazy. You get rid of Ben, you clear about $30 million of that. I think that gives you about like $50 million to play with before the luxury tax. And Chris Paul alone, that gets y'all taxed. But let's stay in this realm because, like y'all, a lot of Sixers fans need this kind of post-mortem time, this time for mourning, this time for figuring out what the hell went wrong. And this is a question that I've been debating a lot with kind of just my friends off the record. And we painted a scenario, right? I need y'all two's takes on it. We painted a scenario where every one of the Sixers is sitting in the room, getting yelled at by imagine the city of Philadelphia as one person. And they're all just getting yelled at by them. To me, the only person who can leave this room is Seth Curry. Seth, you can pack your stuff up. Go ahead. They'll meet you in Cancun when they get down there. Everybody else is now sitting 2 by 2 in rows of 2. What's the order for you guys? Who's up front? Who's in row 2? Who's in row 3? Obviously, the further you are towards the front means the more weight and the more blame is on you for this Hawks series. But 2 by 2. Who's row 1? Who's row 2? Who's row 3?
I mean,
Kyle, go ahead first. I'm very interested to hear this.
One seat has been reserved, and that's for Ben Simmons sitting up front.
he might be on the stool next to the teacher with the dunce cap on.
I think
he might be there.
My second seat probably goes to the bias with him, just because you're supposed to be the leader of this team. You ain't stepped up. And then that next row, I don't want to throw Embiid in the second row, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess Doc Rivers got to sit there.
Doc got to be in the second row for me. Doc got to be in the second row.
It's tough because you want to blame Embiid. But he's the one that, like, I didn't really see lose his energy, get defeated. I mean, I saw him try to come out and play. And while he had that bad game, he cost us that game 5 going 0 for 14 from the field goal in the second half. But he didn't look like he was defeated like the rest of that team did. And B looked out and looked like he still wanted to play. I can't say the same. I can't say the same about a bunch of those guys. And that's personally where I think they went wrong. You asked that question, was the energy level. They let those losses hurt them. Like it wasn't like I'm getting revenge. Like they let that hurt when going back to Atlanta. And they took that game in Atlanta, but you got to bring it right back to Philly, and they didn't. So
I agree. Embiid probably gets maybe some of the lowest share of this blame of anybody. But 0 for 14 in the second half in Game 5, 8 turnovers in Game 6, 8 turnovers in Game 7. That's tough. And that's my best player. I get that you went out there with a torn meniscus, but if you are going to go out there and say you're good and demand play 35 to 40 minutes, I got to be able to hold you to the responsibility of my best player. And you can never have, when your usage rate is that high, you can never have 8 turnovers, no matter what your usage rate is. Damn near 10 turnovers back-to-back games. That's gonna make my offense just sputter.
I forgot about the Game 7 turnovers, not going to lie. That's how much I'm really trying to move on from this right now. But what I will say is that front row, that Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris row, they got courtside seats. My second row is, sitting in the back of the first section. I mean, they're not nosebleeds, but Ben Simmons and Tobias in this room is sitting courtside seats. They're taking a lot of the blame for me on this one.
Jake, I'm interested to hear your rows, and I'll share my rows because they kind of vary every day. But Jake, what are your rows? First 2 seats might be given, but I'm interested.
Well, you know what? I think I'll depart a little bit here from, I guess, what you and Kyle have. But Ben Simmons, honestly, if I could make Ben sit alone in a row of his own, he sits in a row of his own. But assuming there needs to be someone next to him, I'm going to hold off on putting Tobias there. I'll put Doc Rivers there. I think Doc is going to obviously have a second chance at this whole thing. But it looks pretty horrendous that yet again he's flunked out in the playoffs, underperformed, and crumbled in big moments, all while you go over and look at his old team, and without their best player, they're in the Western... Well, their best player played to get them into the Western Conference Finals, but they're battling in the Western Conference Finals, guys like Reggie Jackson stepping up, because Ty Lue brought that team, and we'll give him his flowers later in the episode. That's a coach who can make adjustments. Doc Rivers, his biggest knock is that he doesn't feel the need to he doesn't feel urgency to make adjustments, and it'll cost you in the playoffs. And I'm not sure what he could have adjusted. You have a guy out there who doesn't want to shoot, doesn't want the basketball. You have a couple guys who don't want the basketball. You have one guy who refuses to shoot the basketball.
Couple of them.
Yeah, and
so, no. I mean, there's definitely adjustments could have been made. Right, there's adjustments he could have made, and ain't that a bitch, right? That your second best player, either refuses or can't make an adjustment to his game that costs you games, and then your head coach refuses to make adjustments that also end up costing you games. Ain't that about a double homicide right there?
So that's the reason I'll have Doc in the side, and then Toby goes in the row right behind them. He just didn't bring it. I mean, he tried. He's not like Ben. It wasn't like he disappeared. He went 2 for 11. I mean, that is the Toby. If you could take a screenshot of a box score that describes Tobias Harris's time in Philadelphia in the playoffs, 2 for 11 in like a must-have game. Like, what are we talking about here? He's another one who, if not for Ben, would be getting more brunt of the fans' ire. Yeah. And then this is where you start to really, when you talk about the 2B row, like, I guess it has to be Joel. It doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. Joel is playing on a freaking torn meniscus. Like, it's tough. But like you guys said, the 8 turnovers are unacceptable. I don't care if that's not how he should be playing. I don't think he should be facing up and dribbling as much as he does, but he has to. And when you have to, ultimately, if you are the best player, if you are the MVP, you transcend, you overcome. And he's not there yet. And he doesn't have to get there for them to win a title. Like, that's something I want to be very clear about. You bring in Chris Paul in, you bring in Dame Lillard in, Joel Embiid can be efficient, 3 dribbles, gets you 28, 10, and 3 blocks. And that is they crush that team that game. Like, they are lacking the proper pieces around him once again, but he's the team's best player.
So you got to hold him to that. But Joel Embiid found himself in a lot of situations that he shouldn't have been in, and you're right, because of Ben Simmons. And when you really look back at the sets the Sixers had to run, Game 7 when Danilo Gallinari poked that ball away. At first, I was real mad at Joel because I was like, how does Danilo slow hands ass get his arm around you and poke that ball away? And then I went back and looked at where Joel is and how he caught the ball. Top of the key, about 20 feet away from the basket, back face to the rim on a clear out set for your center. And the center is not Jokic. And you look at that and you're like, why are they running that set to win the game, to get you a bucket to win the game? And it's because you don't want to take Ben Simmons out. And so the only way to completely space the floor with Joel is to send everybody else on the baseline, bring him up for as much possible space as he can get, and tell him, find something. Like that's all the space you're going to get on the floor. If we leave you on the block, you're either not going to have the space because Ben's going to have to be down there, or you're not going to have reliable three-point shooters because one of the spots to kick out to is literally a guy who's now no threat, and now you're getting double teams because we can send somebody because it's basically 4-on-5 on offense. So a lot of the things that went wrong in terms of the offensive set stuff going wrong on offense for the Sixers, about 85% of that bitch can go to Ben Simmons. Like it boils down to the fact that Ben Simmons really hurt your offense in the playoffs. And you have to put people, the reason that Seth Curry has so much on his plate, granted he handled it, but the reason that Seth Curry has to score so much is because Ben won't. The reason that Tobias is his lack of scoring is so glaring is because Ben's not helping either. Like all these things boil down to, man, if Ben Simmons was just more aggressive, we might be looking at a much, much different outlook of this series.
I belly laughed at when Doc Rivers said, we're going to get in the gym. Ben's going to we have the right way of doing things. It's going to be the right way. We're going to do it. Hey, buddy. Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh, this is going to be the summer Ben Simmons changes. He was so embarrassed. This is going to be. Yeah. You know what was embarrassing? Getting held to 1 point against the Celtics when you were clearly the better team in his rookie year. And he gets let off because he's a rookie. And then we fast forward and we do it all again against Toronto. And now we fast forward and we do it all again against Atlanta. And it's like, when are people going to realize? And James, I'll give you credit because we used to argue every day at My New Philly about Simmons, him getting a shot. And you're like, you know what? Some people just don't end up with a shot. They don't have the
just
for whatever
can't
reason,
do it.
They can't do it. And that is
They
Ben
just can't
Simmons.
do it.
Oh, it is ridiculous. It makes me. It really does make me mad when we talk about it.
No, and it's funny because they are maybe pound for pound the best athletes in the world. They are freak basketball players. They've been doing it their whole life. But at the end of the day, they are still human. And every human has a limitation somewhere. It may not even be on the basketball court. But Ben Simmons, his limitation happens to be on the basketball court. And it's just, at least for the Sixers, it's not there, man. And you got to walk away from a toxic relationship at some point. You got to go your way.
The best part about it, about what Doc said, like, we're getting in the gym. Have you seen the Sixers development staff and what they've, done recently?
Who been in the gym with who?
Like, we broke Markelle Fultz.
Jalil.
Zaire Smith probably gave him the peanuts and then never got him back.
Right.
And even Matisse Thybulle, who was an elite defender in a 3-and-D era game, can't make a fucking three-pointer. So, I mean, I'm not have any trust in this development staff. You better hire like lethal shooter or someone like
Drew Hanlon. Bring Drew in. Yeah, seriously.
You want Ben to do Brinkley, go off brand.
You got to bring an influencer in.
Yeah, no, Cap. Chris.
Lethal shooter's resume is legit. Though.
He works out. Chris Brinkley, Drew Hanlon. Like Drew Hanlon got Markel's shot right. Drew Hanlon got Lonzo's shot right. Like, if there's anyone who can get this man right, it's Drew Hanlon. But
don't do this in house. If we keep him, do not do this in house.
Before we move on, let me share my road because there's some people who deserve a little bit more blame than I think they're getting. Obviously, my first two, Ben and Tobias, for obvious reasons. My second row is Doc and Dwight. And the reason why Dwight Howard is in my second row, he didn't play that many minutes to warrant so much responsibility, but this is year 16, 17 in the league. Dwight, get some act right. You shouldn't be out there picking fights with people for no reason, getting technicals, and sending a top 5 free throw shooting team in the league in the regular season to the line to get free points and the ball back. You're too damn old to be making mistakes like that. For what? You want to pull Udonis Haslem on the court for who? Who you proving this to? If you don't get your ass down there on the block, gobble up a rebound and outlet pass that bitch out for 10 minutes while you're on the floor, I don't want to hear another peep out of you. You're too old and been around too many teams to make making mistakes like that. And then right after them, is Matisse Thybulle and Shake Milton. Like, let me go at Shake first. How many times are we going to have this roller coaster ride where you give us one game where you're like, we can rely on Shake, and then you put some stock into him and he pulls a Houdini act? A lot of people disappeared. Shake Milton damn near ran out the arena. Like the walk that should have been called bucket that he got was about the best thing I saw Shake do from games 3 to 7. Like I didn't get good minutes out of Shake Milton at all. And then the reason why I have Matisse further up than I do back is he does a lot of great things on the defensive end. He lost y'all games 5 and damn near lost you game 7 on cardinal sins. You are a defensive specialist, so I shouldn't have to tell you to not foul a 3-point shooter. I shouldn't have to tell you to do that. And if you do it once, you best not do it again. You best not do it twice. And he did it both times under a minute in the game, and it directly led to points, directly led to a loss. So Matisse, like you know better. This is now year 2, second team all defense. Second team all defense don't make these boneheaded plays trying to swipe behind Kevin Huerter to save thoughts. You're down by 1. You put a good contest up. If it goes in, you live to see the next possession. You do not foul a 3-point shooter.
Ultimately,
that was tough. And he slapped him in the head.
Slap the shit out of him. Slap the shit out of him.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what cost them, too. It's funny you mentioned those guys because, like, the Dwight Howards, Shake Milton, Furkan Korkmaz, that whole gang.
Furkan grab a seat, too.
They got the Harry Potter invisibility cloak out for those games, for the back half of that series. I mean, Furkan shooting 1 for 5. Like, those are guys who you need a Huerter game out of one of those guys. And everyone was saying, like, that's what Seth Curry is doing. No. Seth Curry is the number 2 scoring option. You got it incorrect. They don't have anyone else to give the ball to. Like, that's ultimately what lost him. And
it's a bad
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the end of it, that my feelings towards the game. I'm happy to move on, but, like, there was a whole lot. We did the blame pie. Whole lot of pie to go around. Whole lot of pie. Whole lot of of rows.
Absolutely.
There's rows and rows.
And it's a bad Joe when Seth Curry becomes your number 2 scoring option. He was never supposed to be that. Granted, he handled what y'all put on his plate. He ate the meals that was put on his plate, but that man got itis something crazy because he wasn't supposed to. His bag's not supposed to be like that.